Walking is one of the most underestimated tools for fat loss. It allows you to burn a meaningful amount of energy with very low joint stress and very little recovery demand. That combination matters more than most people think, because fat loss doesn't depend on how hard one workout feels. It depends on what you can repeat week after week without something starting to hurt or fall apart. Walking fits that role extremely well. You can do it often and recover from it quickly. And it doesn't compete with your strength training the way harder cardio often does. The only reason people dismiss walking is because it feels simple, and simple often gets mistaken for ineffective. But simple is exactly what makes it sustainable. Just walk it, done consistently, already creates a solid fat loss stimulus. That's why it works so well as a foundation. It keeps fat loss moving without asking your joints, your recovery, or the rest of your training to pay the price. What makes walking especially effective is how little stress it places on your joints. Every step while walking creates force, but that force stays relatively low and predictable. Your knees, ankles, and hips can absorb it without getting inflamed or irritated. When impact stays low, recovery stays easier, so you can walk more frequently across the week. That frequency is what drives fat loss forward, not occasional spikes of effort. This matters even for people who feel perfectly fine running or doing harder cardio. Joint stress accumulates quietly. It does not always show up as pain right away. Sometimes it shows up as stiffness, slower recovery, or training sessions that start to feel heavier than they should. Walking avoids that problem by keeping the movement smooth and controlled. There's no pounding against the ground, no sudden forces that joints have to absorb. Just steady, repeatable work. That steady work adds up. 30 minutes here, another session there. By the end of the week, you've created a meaningful energy deficit without having to push your body to burn fat. Because walking is easy to recover from. It doesn't steal from your strength training, and your body doesn't need to burn muscle to generate energy. Your lifts stay stronger. Your muscles keep getting the signal to stay, and that's critical if fat loss is the goal. Now, the next piece is how to use walking intelligently, so it stays effective instead of turning into wasted time. To get the most out of walking, the goal is not to turn it into a test of willpower. It's to keep it in a range where your body cooperates. A simple way to think about this is heart rate. You don't need to chase extremes. For most people, keeping it around 120 to 130 beats per minute is more than enough. Below that range, the effort is too light to matter much. While above it, fatigue starts to pile up faster than the benefits. You begin to feel it in your legs, in your workouts. And beyond that, when intensity stays high for too long, especially while calories are low, the body doesn't just burn fat. It starts looking for energy anywhere it can find it. That includes muscle. This is why endurance athletes often end up extremely lean, but also very light and flat. Long sessions, high intensity, and constant energy demand push the body to become efficient at survival, not at holding muscle. You see it in marathon runners, very dry, very light, almost no muscle mass left. That's not the goal. Muscle is what keeps your metabolism responsive. It's what helps your body handle food better and keeps weight regain in check later on. So the objective with cardio is not to see how much you can suffer. It's to create fat loss without sending the signal that muscle is expendable. That's why keeping walking at a controlled intensity is important. When heart rate stays reasonable and recovery stays easy, the body has no reason to sacrifice muscle tissue. Fat loss continues while lean mass stays protected. Walking done this way supports the rest of the plan instead of quietly undoing it. Around that middle range, walking stays productive. You're breathing a bit harder, but you're not gasping. You can still recover quickly afterward. It's meant to quietly increase how much energy you burn across the week without forcing you to compensate somewhere else. When walking stays in that range, it does its job and then gets out of the way. You finish the session feeling worked, not wiped out. And that's exactly why it fits so well into a fat loss plan. Now, there's one more detail that makes walking even more practical, especially for people with higher body weight where impact becomes a real limitation. In that situation, the goal is not to change the movement. It's to increase the intensity without adding stress to the joints. That's where incline walking fits in. You're still walking, same low impact contact with the ground. The only thing that changes is the demand on the muscles. Moving uphill requires more effort to move the same body weight, which raises energy expenditure without increasing joint stress. This makes incline walking useful across the board. For heavier individuals, it allows more work in less time while staying joint friendly. For anyone else, it's simply a way to make walking more demanding without turning it into a different exercise. And it's optional. Flat walking already does the job. Incline is just an extra tool when you want more intensity without more impact. So now the question is no longer whether walking works. It's how to structure fat loss when your body has a strong tendency to regain weight. Some bodies lose fat easily, others don't. They store fat faster, defend it harder, and require a more controlled approach to keep progress moving. That's exactly who my free guide, 7 Steps That Got Me Out of Obesity, is for. It breaks down fat loss strategies specifically for people who gain weight easily, without extreme plans or unsustainable rules. And inside it, I also show a simple trick that helps you figure out your body type in seconds, so you can understand why certain approaches work better for you than others. You'll find the link in the description. Once fat loss is built around how your body actually behaves, walking fits naturally into the plan. Walking isn't exciting, but it works because it respects the limits of the body while steadily increasing energy expenditure. When fat loss is treated like a long process instead of a short challenge. Tools like walking stop looking weak and start looking smart. Use it consistently, keep it controlled, and let it do its job in the background while the rest of the plan stays intact. That's why walking is amazing for fat loss.